Hello and welcome to the No Balls Podcast. I'm your host Patrick McDonald. With me, co-host Sheldon Kaufman. Today we are doing a couple things. We're talking about the Eastern Conference and Western Conference Finals. Midway through those series, we are talking about the four teams that lost in the second round. That's what round just ended, and it should be an interesting episode. We're going to go ahead and jump right into our daily trivia that Sheldon does. What have you prepared for me today, Sheldon?
All right, Pat. This is a little pop culture mix with the NBA. What NBA star was in Adam Sandler's movie Uncut Gems?
Okay. Oh, shit. I was like, oh wait, I can go somewhere with this, but then I just in his uncut gems. Can I get a release year?
Yeah. The movie was released in 2019. But I believe it was around it was like centered around like the 2000, oh no, yeah. It was around the 2009 playoffs or championship, NBA championship. So it would be one of those players on that.
Okay. Um. So that was Lakers versus Celtics. Out of all those players, I mean, uh, I guess kind of like Meta World Peace kind of pops up to mind. He seems like the kind of guy who would hop on an Adam
Okay, wait.
Sandler
This
movie.
is I think um yeah. I think it was in the Eastern Conference Finals. So
Oh,
that gives you another hint right there.
so it would be Cavs or Celtics, I think. Um, and to me that sounds like I was it would it be Rondo? I don't know.
Close. It was Kevin Garnett. Kevin
Okay.
Garnett. He like came in to buy a jewel, and then Adam
Oh.
Sandler's character put like a big bet on him for the game. Um,
Oh, it was
so
just a
yeah.
pop-in appearance.
Well, he was reoccurring. He was reoccurring.
Okay.
Yeah, he came in multiple times. So yeah, um,
Man, I
little
was thinking it
something
was a
different.
main
Something
character.
different. Well, it was a pretty big character.
Oh, he was?
He
Okay.
was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm out of touch. I need to get on the Hoop movies. I'm not locked in apparently. Um, yeah, where do we want to start today? Do we want to start with what's next? Or let's start with conference final stuff and then we'll do the what's next stuff after. Where do you want to start conference finals wise?
I mean, we can go ahead and start to talk about the game that happened last night. Talk about the series that's been going on there between the Timberwolves and the Thunder. Thunder looked pretty dominant for the first two games, I would say. Defense was incredible, like really good defense from the Thunder. I thought really did. They've been doing a pretty good job of containing Anthony Edwards this series. That was very evident last game where he only had 16. Okay, okay, wait. A couple games, yeah, a couple games that they've been able to limit him. And really, last game, the two stars really struggled, I thought, in Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle. The defense was suffocating, um, especially on Edwards. They were making him feel him all night. I mean, Alex Caruso was like constantly like touching him, making him feel him, like pushing him up and down the court. Julius Randle really struggled last game. No points in the second half, and a game that I thought was pretty much done with 40 seconds left. But you know the Timberwolves kind of made it a game near the end there. And we've had some very interesting announcing during this season with Doris Burke giving some interesting commentary. But Chet Holmgren and Jalen Williams have really stepped up offensively. I think this series. We talked about Jalen Williams struggling a little bit last series, but I mean, 34 last game, 26 in another one, 19. Shea Gilgis Alexander has been been really incredible this whole series, showing why he's the MVP. Um, not only doing things, shooting the ball, but also with his playmaking as well. But in that third game, Pat, I mean, the Timberwolves defense was insane. They locked up pretty much everybody, and I was expecting that to happen game four as well. Didn't really happen, but I think the Thunder. I would pretty much say the Thunder have this series wrapped up. Although the Timberwolves did make it very interesting. I think if Julius Randle has maybe a little bit better of a game, um, I mean, yeah, I think that would have been huge because you got DiVincenzo and Neil Alexander Walker gave you 20 points each last night, uh, which, DiVincenzo has kind of been very hot and cold throughout the playoffs. So it's been an interesting series and very, very physical, I would say, with two very defensive teams. But yeah.
I would agree. I think it's been a great watch. Maybe not on like a anticipation basis because there's only one close game really in the series, but just a stylistic watch it has been. Two blowouts on the Thunder to start. They just really got it going in those first two games. I wouldn't say they weren't doing anything that I could directly point to besides just being the better team in those couple games. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was obviously balling out in those two games. He did really struggle in the first half of game two, I believe it was. But they managed to pull out both of those wins. Game three, Minnesota makes their huge adjustments in how they're defending Shai Gilgeous-Alexander because I was the one comment I did make on them like mid series was like, hey, like why are y'all defending Shai like this? Because they were playing McDaniels really high up and expecting him to like just slide with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and they weren't being very physical with him, which just hasn't been the way that teams have had success guarding Shai in the past year and the past couple of years. It just hasn't been the way they've done that versus the way that they should have probably been doing, which was playing very physically against Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and trying to use that to knock him off spots. And I understand the concern to not want to pick up extra fouls. But then they made that adjustment. They start going under on screens. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a great shooter. So, going under on screens could just lead to a bunch of pull-up threes, but it kept them out of Gobert switching on to Shai a little bit more. They still did end up switching a good bit with Gobert, but they made that adjustment in game three. It blew them out in game three. And then game four, like, Lou Dort is, like, playing the most, like, just, it's like, they don't even it's like watching Travis Hunter in college. Like they're just like, oh, Dort's over there, Edwards just stay in the corner, I guess. And Edwards like touched the ball like 4 times in the first half. One of them was at the very end of a shot clock. One of them was an and one in transition. Like he never got the ball because the physicality Dort was playing. They were top blocking a lot of things. They were sending a ton of attention towards Anthony Edwards because the Thunder are a team that gives up a ton of threes because they will do everything in their power to not let you get rim touches. And they just played really good. I think that they've played like the better team for basically the whole series. They got absolutely dumbfounded by the adjustments that Minnesota made in game three. And they kind of waved.
In that one, the Thunder had like 10 points at the end of the quarter, like fifth. I was like, this is insane, and then on the other end, Minnesota scored like 72 and a half. So that was very interesting to me, seeing how Chris Finch, right,
Mhm.
came out there and adjusted game three.
Yeah, he's been very adaptive this postseason. We gave him a good bit of credit for that, and I called for whatever they were doing defensively that it needed to change, and they instantly changed it, got them results for a game, but they end up losing the close game yesterday, and that was really big. I assume they'll have some type of answers for how the Thunder were guarding Edwards like super aggressively with Dort and Caruso top blocking everything, being super physical off ball. I they'll probably get another game in this series, but I just I think their chances of winning this series might just be off the table right now. I mean, do you have anything else necessarily on OKC versus Minnesota besides that?
I think I think maybe the only thing I would say is that Oklahoma City has been very good in this series about intercepting passes and turning those into transition offense. They've been a really good job of doing that, especially like when they're going on runs. That's the stuff they're kind of doing to help boost those runs. And how about Terrence Shannon Jr. getting like really good playoff minutes and like looking really good in the game 3? I think he was outscoring the Thunder in the first half, or no, I think he outscored all Thunder scores or something like that. I think he had 15 in game 3, and then he had 9 points in the first half against last night. A guy that we talked about in the draft. He was very good prospect. I don't think we really expect him to be getting like impactful playoff minutes, but this is looking good for Minnesota. I think it looks like they may have found a really good draft pick in Terrence Shannon.
Yeah. He fell in the draft for non-player reasons. He looked up to the part. I think the funniest part was Chris Finch saying, "Yeah, go guard Jalen Williams." Nickel Alexander Walker's guarding like I don't know, like Isaiah Joe in the corner. Like, yo,
Yeah,
we're really throwing him in the fire, man. Because like
yeah,
defensively, he wasn't really a super strong prospect, but he made even in the game that they lost last night, he made some like really impressive on-ball passing decisions too, and
yep,
I think he looks very impressive. Much better than I anticipated him being in the playoffs. We both really liked him, I think, coming into the draft, and I think we would have had him a lot higher on draft boards if there weren't the other concerns about him. But he played great. Shout out to Tannen Sharon Jr. Glad they could have hit on that pick because they don't have many picks going forward. Um, and I mean, I guess it even relates to this since he's a wing. Like Nickel Alexander Walker was just ridiculous last game, playing great defense. Um, I don't think he missed a 3-point jump shot, and he's just been a difference maker. And I think he's kind of played himself to be on a different team next year because Minnesota won't be able to pay him. So unfortunate for Minnesota that he's played so good because now you can't pay him. But Nick
yeah.
Alexander Walker's been awesome. Um, Other than that, I don't really have anything. Do you want to go forward to Pacers against Knicks?
Yeah,
All right,
sure.
all right. I'll give you the floor to start this one.
Well, this one has definitely been the most entertaining playoff series, I think. Just with all the added history of Tyrese and or just the history of the Pacers and the Knicks in the playoffs, and really the history of I think Tyrese and the Knicks as well. But game 1, I mean, what a great game! We got an overtime thriller. Aaron Neesmith pops off and turns into Steph Curry in the final 6 minutes of the game, hitting 6 3-pointers and like not easy 3-pointers. I mean, especially those last two shots near the end. One with the hand in the face, the other one where he's literally fading and kind of throws up a shot and it goes in. And Tyrese Halliburton, it was very interesting, Pat. Like his decision to kind of like beeline out there and get a three because he low key may have he had the paint kind of open, but he was going for the win. Ended up hitting a crazy shot where the ball bounced 30 feet in the air and fell in. Um, and then we're still able to win it. I think Siakam has been huge for the Pacers as well. I'm pretty sure it was last game where he had like 24 and one half. Um, Cat has been really big, or Cat's been having some really good games for the Knicks. Especially last game, he went on. He scored 20. What was it, Pat? He had like 20 points, right, in the
He, had,
fourth.
he
Or
I think he outscored the Pacers by a bucket in the second or in the fourth
yeah,
quarter.
yeah. And I thought this was really interesting, Pat. I'm sure you'll speak more to this. The bench opened up a lot for New York, a lot more than we've seen last game, and it ended up kind of working out for him. Miles McBride had 9 points. DeLon Wright was in there, had a crucial bucket near the end of the game where Cat found him kind of just chilling underneath the basket. Landry Shamet was getting some minutes. Um, yeah, so Pacers, they've been winning some very close games. They almost took a 3-0 lead, but the Knicks, Knicks did come back and did their thing again, coming back from 20 down, winning the game. Um, yeah, going into this game five. How are you feeling, Pat? This is definitely again a must win for New York as they go into game going back to the Garden. Right, they'll go back to the Garden next game. I mean, I feel like New York has been playing good during it. Maybe they've had some stretches where the defense kind of starts lacking. I feel like both teams have been playing some very active defense, really really hard, like fighting through screens, and stuff like that. But what are your overall feelings so far as the resident Knicks fan on the podcast?
Yeah, I mean, it's been an amazing well, I wouldn't say it's been an amazing series to watch because game one, like, was quite literally the most mentally draining game to watch as a fan. Um, but I mean, as a pure basketball perspective, that game was awesome. Um, and I think you look at the choke celebration at the end just for it to go to overtime, like it was just if this would have been a bubble basketball game, I would have believed it because it was peak and there was the crazy moments. Like it's just something special about this series so far. Adding the fact that they played last year and the two-star point guards went to the WWE SmackDown shit together. Like just the storylines are so perfect for this series, in my opinion, and the basketball's backed it up. You know, three really close games. Um, two of them with huge comebacks, one for each team. The road team winning the games so far. I hope that continues in game four. Um, it's been excellent. Like it's been great basketball. You talked about the bench expanding. I think that's kind of like been the big key so far because like game one, the Knicks kind of like did their normal thing, and it's like okay, Indiana has no answers for Brunson. He's going to touch the paint or he's going to kick it out to an open teammate basically every play, and that was working perfectly. And then Aaron Nesmith hits every shot. Like literally, like I would say that they were all easy shots, but they weren't like through. You don't make six in a row with only taking easy shots. I think there was a good bit of poor communication or just like not super aggressive defense on those last couple shots. But I mean, he just hit a heater at the end of the game, and it was devastating. Um, and then the bench expands largely because of that game one lapse where like Josh Hart was just kind of watching Neesmith, like some of the shitty switches were out there. Um, his off-ball defense. I think in that game he got like backdoored by Nemhard with like 20 seconds left. Um, and then like the poor play just kind of continued in game two, and then it leads to the conversation of starting Mitchell Robinson because Mitchell Robinson they were like plus 40 in in Mitchell Robinson minutes, and then like Cam Payne also played in game two. Um, the Knicks were it was tied going into the fourth quarter, and then Cam Payne comes in and they instantly go. The Pacers go on a 9-point run before Brunson has to check back in, and they end up losing that game. I think by like 3 or 4 points. I don't remember what the final score was, but it was something like that. Um, so he completely just redoes the bench. I was saying, I think some Knicks fans were like, hey, if Tibbs doesn't, Tibbs should get fired for doing what he did with Cam Payne. And I'm like, playing Cam Payne and isn't a fireable offense, but not adjusting after seeing those terrible results is a fireable offense. And he definitely made an adjustment. I think the most funny storyline of this series is Rick Carlisle's interviews. They're always like, "Yeah, Precious Achiuwa is really good. I'd be surprised if he doesn't get into this game." Or I think he said it about somebody else too that just is on the bench and is not going to play. He said it about Payne after Payne got benched. I'm like, Rick Carlisle just wants us to play the bums, man. Like, what's going on? But it's a huge like pace versus not pace series, because the Knicks have always been a super slow pace team. I saw Jeff T kind of, you know, say something kind of stupid about the Knicks slow pace. Jeff T gets the pass because he typically says some good stuff, but Pacers are super fast, Knicks are super slow paced. I think just juxtaposing the two paces next to each other just alone is a good enough uh main theme of this series. You're gonna jump in here? Okay. um, I don't know how I feel about this series yet. Um, have you changed your opinion at all with the series? I think you said Pacers in 6 or 7 before. I'm assuming you haven't shifted. I think you're muted. You were muted.
Am I
You're
okay?
back now.
I don't know why, but yeah, I think it's interesting because the game today, I mean, Brenson's going to step up because it's a must win. Um, it's just I don't know if they can contain either Halliburton or Siakam. Like, I think that'd be huge because I think the whole series they've been doing a good job offensively. That's not been the problem. Just somehow the Pacers find ways to score. Like whether it's when like the shot clock is running down and they somehow like find Siakam and he throws up a shot that goes in. Or they're finding early offense through transition. Um, I still like Pacers in 6. Um, I think I'm not going to change on that, but it's going to be tough because if the Knicks win this game 4 or game, yeah, it's game
4.
4.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, if they win this game 4, 2-2 going back to the Garden. It's gonna be very interesting. But uh, I do think the Pacers find a way to win tonight. Um, yeah, that's kind of how I'm feeling about it.
Yeah, I mean, I can see Tyrese Halliburton. If we're giving out fake 2K badges, he has Hall of Fame answer.
Yeah,
Like he will always come up with like just an answer for whatever run you go on. It'll be a run of his own, or it'll be just like a ridiculous 3-point attempt that you're like, that's not going in, and yeah, he's gonna make it. Tyrese Halliburton is really good. Um, a lot of the players around are still very good. I mean, I'm hoping that today's game goes more like game 3. Uh, but you know, I I I'm still sticking with my Knicks in 7 just because I want to. Um, I'm taking logical thinking out the way for the rest of the playoffs, as long as the Knicks are involved in my prediction. So, um, outside of that, um, is there anything else just on the playoffs in general that you want to talk about? You touched on the Doris Burke stuff. Do you want to talk about the Doris Burke stuff? Because there's
yeah,
some Reggie Miller complaints that I would have as well. So,
yeah. It's just a lot of free throw merchant talk. Like I saw it in the first game, and when I tuned on the broadcast, the next game, she just kept saying it, and like I saw people saying like she must think that's a compliment or something. And then it got like super tense. I was watching the game, and all of a sudden, Reggie Miller just like, yeah, I don't like that they use that. Like the data doesn't back that up. Like that's just a ridiculous term. She
Richard
really just
Jefferson.
she shut Doris Burke up, which I thought was hilarious. Um, and yeah, I mean, there were some times where but Shea was getting fouled when he was getting fouled. I felt like, especially on the replays they showed a couple times, and I feel like the playoffs is just it's just so physical. It's crazy to me because like I'm seeing shit that gets called fouls like for sure in the regular season, just like with hand checking stuff. Like you're not really supposed to do that, but they do it all the time in the playoffs, which I just think is funny. And then she was just saying some like random stuff about like Bonjour, Hardenstein. It was just like, come on. Um, so yeah, and I mean, I love Doris Burke. I think she's a great basketball, great basketball uh,
Analysis.
analyst. Yeah. Um, the commentating though, sometimes it can be very off-putting. I guess is the word I would use. Um, especially when she's saying crazy stuff like that. What were your Reggie Miller complaints?
Well, I'll stick with the free throw stuff because she just definitely thinks it's a compliment because
Yeah,
by definition, Merchant is not a negative word.
Yeah.
Like it's basically saying that you have extreme skill in something. Um, so from what she understands, that everybody's saying it on Twitter is a compliment, but they're saying it as like a bad thing. Um, which I extremely disagree with. My favorite thing is when players like commit clear fouls and then their fans are like, Shea's a flopper, or it happens with Brunson too. Brunson's a flopper. And it happens with Jokic, and um, the Embiid stuff too. Like a lot of it with Embiid as well. It's just like these guys are the best scorers in the league. They're getting fouled, and I think my favorite one last night, the one on Anthony Edwards, where Anthony Edwards like pushes him to the floor. You know which one I'm talking about, and
Yeah.
like Shea flops obviously, but like it's because he's getting fouled,
Yeah.
and he gets fouled, and I understand that um it's a little frustrating at times to watch, but like at the end of the day, they're calling it foul baiting. They're not
Yeah.
saying they're not saying that like foul baiting is not possible if the defensive player doesn't commit a foul.
Yeah.
That's
100%.
that's how I see it. If the defensive players are playing better defense and the player like have you seen Shea Gilgeous-Alexander do a random flail and not had contact made to him and get a whistle? I don't think so. I've seen him get like trip over himself and get a whistle this series, and I agree with that call being kind of ridiculous, but then it got reversed right away.
Yeah.
Um, it's ridiculous. It happens with Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. It's happening with Brunson, and people are saying it would be the most unethical like um, finals. I think it's ridiculous. Because the best scorers are surprisingly the guys who, the four best scorers in the league, or in the playoffs, are the guys who got the most fouls per drive with Shea, Giannis, Brunson, Jokic. So
Yeah.
pretty sounds fair to me, honestly. And I understand like Anthony Edwards from time to time is going to have a call that at the rim that doesn't go his way. Like there was the one foul where he ended up passing it to Randall and Chet like fouled the shit out of him
Yeah.
and they completely
George,
missed it.
it's like, oh, that's a foul.
Yep. But like like it is a foul, but I feel like those plays happen way less often than people make it out to be. Like I don't think Anthony Edwards gets fouled on every drive, like people would like it made out to be. And I, by how people describe it, they would say that Shea never doesn't get a foul call when he gets fouled, which I would also disagree with because I think there are plays where he gets fouled and they don't call it. Um, I think it's ridiculous that a lot of the Eastern Conference and Western Conference Finals discourse is about how their people just hate watching certain players play. Like I think it's kind of ridiculous. Like you're just saying you hate watching, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Reggie Miller though, that was a long sidebar. Um, he's obviously like I don't really care that he's obviously going to be a bias towards the Pacers because like whatever, right? He can do it. Um, but then for him to also just not know anything about the Pacers, I think is kind of also like if he's going to call the Pacers game, at least make it to where he knows anything about the Pacers. They have a lineup out there with Siakam, um, Mathurin, Thomas Bryant. Those are their guys out there, and
Yeah.
he's over like Indiana's playing this super small lineup. How are they going to get rebounds? I'm like, dude, they got two big men out there, and Benedict Mathurin, who like is a bull in a china shop sometimes. Like it's
Strong rebound.
ridiculous. Strong rebounder, like puts his head down and gets to the rim. Like it's ridiculous, man. Like if you're gonna call the games, at least know what's going on, man. Like, oh gosh, Reggie Miller, and then I don't know. People were getting mad about the him pointing at Halliburton. Like, whatever, dude. Like, it's happened before. Um, but like that one stands out. There are other moments where he's like literally calling like it happened with Matherin multiple times where he just called Matherin terrible, just in the middle of the game, like a fucking fan would. I was tweeting like Josh Hart's been fucking terrible this series. We need to bench him. Like Reggie Miller's doing this shit on the broadcast. Like what are we
Yeah.
doing, man? And then that's no shot at Matherin or Josh Hart because they're very good players. But I just those are like my only complaints about the NBA playoffs. I think we hinted at it at one point that I thought the announcers were from time to time kind of rough, but for the most part they're really good. Early in the first round, do you remember when the crowds were like way louder than the broadcast for like the
Yeah.
first weekend of the playoffs?
Yeah. That was fun.
Like like I kind of miss it now. Like
Yeah.
hearing all this ridiculous shit I'm hearing in the conference finals, I kind of miss it. Um, oh, and the occasional play time where you just miss a whole play from they just have it on commercial and they just don't show a play. Other than that, I've really enjoyed the playoffs.
Yeah.
I feel like the only things that have made the playoffs not enjoyable are the people who are complaining about. It's just like trivial stuff that doesn't matter, like foul baiting and Reggie Miller pointing at Tyrese Halliburton. Good shot, young buck. Um, I do you have anything else on the playoffs in general? Any series? Okay. What's next? We'll cut the this one here and then we'll do what's next episodes. Do you want to start with Boston? Is that a good starting point?